Kota was almost in Star Wars Rogue One. Now you're thinking to yourself, I've heard that character name.
Who's this Rahm Kota?
I knew that name even before David butchered it. He was a character in The Force Unleashed. He was a blind Jedi. And, of course, there are some elements that I think get adopted and molded into what we get with Chirrut. But getting Rahm, that character from The Force Unleashed, Jesse, just, for those in case you haven't experienced The Force Unleashed in games, which that's a bummer because they're super, super incredible. Just, like, your 15-second description of who the hell Rahm is.
Rahm Kota was a Jedi Knight who did not trust clone troopers at all. So if you play the game, you know that he's got his own like rebel force. Mm-hmm. He's been doing guerrilla war tactics, on the Empire. Obviously to kind of bait Vader out. He wants a confrontation with Vader. And in the first part of the game, sorry, spoiler. This game's been out for a while, so I'm not.
It's too late.
You should have played it by now.
Yeah, right.
It's still a fantastic game.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and it ages well.
Anyway, the character Starkiller shows up. They have a duel, and Starkiller ends up in a very. If you've watched Rebels, you know how Darth Maul blinds Kanan. It's the same way. And if anything, actually, I would actually connect Rahm Kota to. And similarities more towards to Kanan.
Oh yeah, okay, Kanan. I see where you're going. Okay,
because just overall the artwork, they share kind of the same facial profile.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
Kanan ends up becoming blind and learning to see, via the Force. Rahm does the same thing. So there's a lot of similarities between those two characters. I would have loved to have seen him added in. Or even just a mention, kind of like what they did with Captain Syndulla, just something like that to kind of, tip of the hat, because the voice acting, the storyline for those games were fantastic. And George Lucas actually considered the basic storyline for those games to be canon. I'm not sure why Disney cut them out.
Would have loved to see this, though, because then I think it gives a lot of those fans the hope that they're going to make that canon or we'll bring those characters back in. And remember 3 weeks ago we talked about on the episode how we almost got Starkiller back as an Inquisitor in Star Wars Rebels and how incredible that could have been too. So you know that the storytelling group is trying to bring these elements back into play.
If they fit.
Right.
It's one of those things, look what
they
did with Thrawn.
Priority. That's what we always say, right? It's always number one priority.
Yeah, look what they did with Thrawn. Thrawn was EU, and he took place after Return, but they found a home for him. There's still hope.
So, do you stash it or blast it?
I stash it because I would have loved to see him in the movie. At the very least, I would love to see him mentioned in some capacity just to give some credibility to the voice actors in just that game.